Hey guys, welcome to Wednesday night with Unbiased Rugby. So I think there's quite a lot that we need to unpack tonight. A hell of a lot's happened in the news, and probably everyone's discussed it to death with Rassie and what's happening on the tour. And yeah, so I'm just going to give my quick thoughts on that, and then we'll just discuss what I've thought of the Lion series so far. Some things that I've picked up from other pundits out there that I've obviously I don't have much else to say except something negative, and then to do a bit of prediction for this weekend. Probably speak about the team, FN TSG, and players that I've really enjoyed over the series. Listen, if you like my video, please like it. It does help with engagement with the algorithms, and yeah, so just be nice. That's all I ask, So first things first, it's the big story of the week. Rassie Erasmus. So obviously, I'm sure most of you have probably seen that hour-long video that came out. I'm in two minds, FN TSG. I really am. There's this age-old saying. He's saying, "Does the end justify the means?" And yes, I think it put a lot of doubt inside the refs' heads, and it did change the game. But attacking, because for me it felt like quite it was bordering on character assassination, but I don't think it was 100%. It was mainly about the calls that happened on the day and the quality of the reffing. Nick Berry's he's a fairly young ref. He's been around for a while, but in Super Rugby, but on the international scene, he hasn't been around for very long. If you start thinking about the refs that are around the world, hey, Levin just said, I'm well, thank you. I hope you're well too. If you think about the refs that are around the world, there's only really Ben O'Keefe, Yoko Piper, and there's that other guy from Australia. And he's obviously the next the next ref in the thing. And I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit old school, and I think there should be some kind of sanctity, for the refs. And it's one of the cornerstones of the game that you don't really attack the officials. And it was. That's what's got to me. Yes, I enjoyed the video from a completely just seeing the insights of, because there's so many things that were picked up that I didn't see in the game, and that he picked up. I don't know. It was I'm in two minds about it. I really am, because it seems to have created a precedent going forward. Are refs going to be attacked now openly after games? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Rassie's rant was masterful in terms of winning team, but dreadful in terms of impact on the rugby generally. I 100% agree. I think it was I feel that World Rugby needs to do revamp of reffing and not just Rassie. I like Ben O'Keefe. I enjoy when he is in the referee for games. I do like Ben O'Keefe, Levin just said. I do think it has brought up something about that something needs to change in the systems. I don't think it needs to be open door policy with everyone getting involved, but I do think there needs to be some kind of reform when it comes to the information that flows from players to coach to ref to World Rugby, and yeah. So it's just we were trying to get people into officiating, and it's going to be quite difficult to get into officiating if this is the kind of attack you're going to have. The Southern Hemisphere doesn't have that many world international refs. If you look at France, you look at England, there's so many that are on the cards that it'll just So as a South African, I'm glad we won the game, but as a rugby lover, it's not really, as they say, it's not really cricket. You know what I mean? It just ain't cricket. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. Let's see how World Rugby comes back, but I'm sure there's going to probably be a hefty fine. I think the last big fine, it's about £22,000. That was against who's the coach for England, Eddie Jones. So if it's not 50, it'll be more than £50,000. I enjoyed watching it. I agree with what you said. But how will rugby want to change him? Just hope he is not banned from rugby, which apparently is a possibility. That'll never happen. Never just said. I don't think they'll ban him. The guy's got just way too much RP. I think huge big rap across the knuckles, and I think it's going to be a hefty fine to really try to discourage this kind of thing to happen in the future. But I still think there needs to be some kind of reform. Because a lot of us go into these games and we're not 100% sure, because it is a law-based game, so it is based on interpretation. But it just went to show, if you looked how long that game was on Saturday, when a game is reffed completely, how much longer it is and how much unentertaining it is. Which I'm going to come to. I'm actually going to be speaking about boring rugby and what all the pundits are saying. But yeah, coming back to this, good for South Africa, bad for rugby. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Let's move on. I'm gonna let's just try to get a banner going up here. I was going to get let's start talking about the Lions and the Springboks. Let's start talking about it. Hey Mark Dunphy, welcome. I'm going to give my take on the series so far. I watched the first game. I enjoyed the first game. It was enjoyable. The second game, I actually didn't even watch live. I couldn't watch it live. I just had such a bad feeling that the Lions were going to win, and I couldn't bring myself to watch it live. I just think I would have been just too stressed. So when I saw the score, then I watched the game, and yeah, it was a real slugfest. But I'm going to say something. When we watched the Lions played New Zealand in those last thing, and there were a lot of entertaining games, and there was stuff happening off the field, but it's not the kind of stuff that was happening here. If World Rugby charges SA Rugby, will Rassie step down? I don't know. I really don't know. I think, where would South African rugby be without Rassie Erasmus at the moment? So that's a big question. But yeah, coming back to the Springboks Lions series. So from that point of view, it hasn't been a very enjoyable series. There's just been too much stuff happening off the field, from Warren Gatland, from Rassie Erasmus, from COVID to no fans. It's been a strange tour, and I'm just not 100% sure if I've been 100% entertained. Look, guys, I'm really not trying to be negative here. I'm really trying to just from a rugby point of view, I don't think I've been as the world has changed. COVID's a bit issue, but the rugby has been awful. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I just look at it and I think I always enjoy watching the Lions, and I think both the Springboks and the Lions have not put their best foot forward. The amount of niggle that happens off the ball, the amount of he said, she said, biting, not that any biting that happened. It just seems like it's just two teams that hate each other, and that just seems like it's going against what rugby stands for. Rugby is the kind of game where you play hard, you play super hard, but you don't. We don't want dirty play, and we don't want stuff off the ball, and we don't want stuff in the media, and for me that's what's been the most. I do watch Squid Rugby, FNTSG. And I Sorry, guys. I actually realized last week that I swore quite a bit, and then I actually stopped for quite a while reading people's comments. So I'm actually going to try to read this one out. Slugfest is how the Springboks like to play, kick the ball and get momentum and scrum for penalties. I love it. I like last week. I love scrums. I think it's one of my favorite parts of the games. I love mauls. I love scrums. I really enjoy the set piece part of the game. That's what I enjoy. I played prop when I first started. I was a little bit shorter and a lot fatter, so I played prop at school. And then when I started getting a little bit fitter, then I moved across to lock. Not that I was very tall, but I used to bounce between those two positions. Sympathy for everyone being so keen to make it happen, but I agree with you. It's the kind of sour because people are so desperate to win above everything else, and that's the problem. Yes, the Lions only come every 12 years. You've got to understand that, guys. It's a big thing to win a Lions tour, and after, I think it was 1990, well, when did we lose against them? 97, I think. Yeah, it was 97. It was a big thing. Checking Leroux's arm for a snake bite, and he was sucking the poison out. Yeah, Mark, that sounds about right. But yeah, from that point of view, I watched a really interesting show on Off the Ball this weekend. I can't remember the lady's name from Ireland. And sorry, I'm just going to change the screen here. And it just seemed it's just two teams that are just too scared to lose and are just not prepared to play. The Springboks play a certain kind of way. 1997, thanks FNTSG. The Springboks play a certain kind of way. It's not going to change. It's going to be like that for the rest of eternity. And there were a lot of things that forced the Springboks not to carry on the way that they carried on in the World Cup, because, essentially this last weekend's been our third game since the World Cup, a third international. Do you think it's the fans that may be resulting in rugby we are seeing? No, David. I don't think it is. I think it does make a huge, big difference, but I think it's just, there's just so much happening, and it maybe you're right. Maybe they are. It just seems like they're in a bubble, and they've realized that their whole world's inside this bubble, and that there's no one else around there. There's not couple of 100 million people trying to watch the game. There's maybe not 100 million people watching, but maybe I'm being a little bit optimistic with the Olympics on. But yeah, and what they were saying on Off the Ball is, if you weren't a big rugby lover, but maybe you watched just the big games, so you waited for the World Cup, and maybe you waited for the Lions, and you switched on the TV because you thought, it's the Lions, it's going to be super entertaining, and then you would. They had 2 hours of stop-start and sitting on the floor and scrums and resets and kicking and a bit more kicking and a bit more kicking. And so, yeah, maybe it's not a great advert for what rugby can be like. Remember that game in New Zealand? Okay, not the 57-0 one, but the one that we won. How it was still edge of your seat. It was still physical and hard, but there were moves happening. Things were happening on that field, and either that's because we were playing New Zealand, and you have to play like that. But it just seems like with Warren and Gatlin and Rassie, every single game they play is a slugfest. Let's be honest. When Wales played South Africa, it's a slugfest. The Lions play, it's a slugfest. So. Maybe it's not the players. Maybe it's just the way not that Rassie's the coach, but yeah, I think he is pulling the strings. That maybe that's just the way these two coaches operate, and they seem to suck the life out of the game. And but yeah, coming back to this other comment that I'm just going to put up here. Boring Springboks, whatever, because that's what everyone's saying. It's exciting rugby. It's so important. Bring it. Beat the Boks with it. What's the problem? No one's saying that other teams need to play like our boys. Yeah, it's a strange thing, because everyone goes, we play a certain way, and we say we're not innovative, we're not this, we're not that. But Jesus, it is successful rugby, and it is the kind of rugby that we grew up watching and we grew up enjoying. I think Springboks played well on Saturday from not playing a game in 18 months with game management, controlling the game and scrumming, etc. I just think, guys, come on, 3 games in 18 months. What do you expect? Do you expect the Springboks to come up with some of these huge, big attacking moves? They started doing some overlapping over the weekend. You could see it happening. They were manipulating space, and you could see it. Even the Andre Pollard cross kick, that was manipulating space, and no one sees that part. And they think, the Springboks just. But the Springboks play a certain way. So they kick, they chase. Once they get a penalty advantage, then they risk, and then they can bring in their wingers and stuff like that. And I just think it's going to get better, guys. Let's be honest. If you look at our backline, our first-class backline, we've got Faf, Andre, Damon Delander, Laconia Arm, Makazola and Pimpy, Chesn Colby, and Willie LaRue. That's a pretty set backline. It's getting better and better and better with time, and it's slowly going to start, because you can see that when you watch Squid Rugby, FNTSG, I was actually watching it today, and that Springboks have actually, we've always played a 1-3-3-1 system, and it looks like the attacking sides were playing a 1-3-2-2 system, and a lot of the moves that we were doing on the weekend were based on a 1-3-2-2 system, which is very close to how Japan, New Zealand, and the attacking sides play. So I think we're starting to get our structures right. I just think you just got to give us some time, guys. That's all you got to give us. Give us some time to actually play on the field, get to a point where we've got we are missing David, we are missing Swace de Brain. It just saddens me that what do you think about Colby so far? He has not been at his best, but that is fair. He has not had a lot of ball yet. You think he might be used? I think so. I think he's still got something special. Hey, Joe, Lions, long time no see. I think I'll be happy with the circus is over. Lions tour all about the good of rugby. Unfortunately, this tour has been more about off-field crap. Shame, as it's lessened the game. Now, I wrote an article a long time ago for the 1014. They used to have a website. It's quite sad that they act, those guys are quiet. I don't know where they are. I haven't seen them for quite some time, but they used to have a website, and they used to have some interesting articles. And we were talking about tours, and tours were about promoting the game at the same time as actually touring the country. So you used to go tour, you used to play 1 or 2 provincial games, and then you'd play your 3 test matches, and it was about interacting with, if you came to South Africa, you'd probably go into townships, and you'd probably start promoting the game beyond the stadium, and it's about introducing the game to young kids, and it's about these young kids meeting heroes. And I wrote and I say, you imagine, as you're up and coming, you're a young lock, you go meet Mora Toji, who's a sublime, absolutely sublime player, and you can inspire it, and that's what for me, that's what Alliance Tour is about. It's about inspiring. Yes, it's about the best from the north coming to the south and trying to kick the poo out of us, but it has to be more than that. Remember, Rassie Tech was only supposed to be perfected come 2023. I think so. That's why we had such a long. Was it holidays? So great to see you, Joe Leons. I did lose the love for the game. With Gordon not here, I live in a very, very small town. There's only a couple of thousand people that live here on the coast in the Cape, and they just have vanished, Mark. And I just didn't have the same. And it's like I was sitting there this weekend. My wife was sitting with me, and every single player that comes on, I say, "Oh no, this player is this and this player is that," and she looks at me and she says, "Geez, Don, every weekend you tell me the same thing." So I said, "Yeah, no, I miss your dad, and I was just used to having Gordon next to me, and I'd have to explain things over and over and over." So yeah, it was that's why I left for some time, just to try get the love back, and I decided to come back and say, just do 1 show a week, keep it simple, just try interact with the people out there and get them to send questions. like that, and just try to get back into the game, but more actually just watching the games and enjoying them again, and not watching thousands of games, but just saving myself for the big games and just enjoying it. So yeah, coming back to this boring Springboks, honestly, I think it's still early days for the Springboks attack system. I think their defensive structure system is amazing, and I think they're slowly going to start bringing defense. I just think they should get like I'm not saying this is the guy to get, but imagine getting a Larkham or somebody like seriously like attacking flair. Swaysterbrain is one, but I just don't think he can handle the pressure. Yeah, yes, Mark. We'll all once we've all had our booster shots, or how many shots we've got to have. So yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, we don't play boring rugby. I think it's going to improve over time. So yeah, just give it a bit of time, guys. And just see us in the World Cup. I'm looking forward to the Rugby Championship, actually, because it's going to be the 100th game between the Springboks and the All Blacks. And I think that's going to be, I think if this last weekend was a physical game, I think that game's going to be like on another level. So yeah, let's see how that pans out. So let's go here. I'm actually going to share my screen again, guys, and we're going to talk about the teams. Actually, I'm going to talk about my favorite player currently playing in South Africa. My favorite player. Okay, let's just go here. So my favorite player is Lukhanyo. How do you think the Boks team playing in Northern Hemisphere will change the style of their play? Playing on the different pitches and weather conditions could see the physical approach big time. I agree with it. It will change. It will change it. It is going to change it a lot. The one thing that I realized after we played the All Blacks every single year, and in the beginning we had some form of parity. I think maybe we won 3 or 4 out of 10, and then slowly over time, their style of rugby is just not our style of rugby. If you watch how the kids, it's all about how kids play grassroots. And if you watch how kids play grassroots rugby in New Zealand, it's completely different to the way they play it in South Africa. And South Africa's is a different way of playing. So yeah, but yeah, coming back to Lukhanyo, for me, guys, I don't know if I don't think he's a Conrad Smith just yet, but I just think as a 13, I can't think of, well, maybe there's good 13s out there, but the guy's just absolutely amazing. I just think he creates opportunities. He's good over the ball. He understands space, and it's a thing that you can't teach. It's just something you instinctively know. It's like Ches and Colby instinctively knows what he's doing because he understands how to move in that space, and he can. Is an absolutely amazing player. And no one's going to. He covers that 13 channel so well, but the 13's only as good as their 12. It's like Conrad Smith was only good because of Ma Non. Well, no, they were good together. That's what I'm trying to say. And the center pairing is such an important pairing. Yeah, but come on, you've got it, Joe. You've got to admit the guy he's an absolutely amazing player, and I think he's really coming into his own. I think it's only his 19th test. I think when he starts getting to about his 30, I just think he's this absolutely special player, and I think he's going to be crucial for us for the next World Cup. He is going to be our back captain, and but yeah, I just think I think he's come of age in this yeah, Mark Donegger was on another level. You must actually go to Dispatch where he was from, and they've got a statue of him in town. And yeah, so he's like he was a big player where he came from, Eastern Cape. So yeah, my favourite player currently in this tour, and just getting better and better with time, is Lukhanyo. But let's now move across to well, maybe that look. The problem with the scary thing about Donegger is that obviously he played rugby when obviously we were in isolation for very, very good reasons, and so yeah, he could have had an absolutely amazing career, but these things happen. You're a product of where you're from and the time that you're born. But yeah, let's go look at the teams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the British and Irish Lions team first. Let me just grab some water here, guys, because I think there's been quite a few changes. Some of them I think have been really good. Let's get rid of this banner because it's actually going over the thing, and let's hide that. I think that's a little bit better. So obviously Wyn Jones comes back from he's fit now. So I think the way that Frans Malherbe's been playing, I think that's really good. I think that's a really good Ken Owens. I like him because he's like a real gritty kind of player, and Tad Furlong. So yeah, I think for me that's probably the better front row. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think that's the better front row. Hogger's getting a tetanus shot. Come on, Mark. That's yeah. Fundamerva, Joe. I actually don't know how. There must be a plan for him. There must be a plan. Moro Toje, Alan Wyn Jones. Moro Toje for me is one of the best forwards, and if he can sort out his discipline and sort out the stuff that he does off the ball, I think he will be one for the ages. How will our front row stack up against theirs, you think? LB Safa, I think the problem, David, with Jamie George is I haven't really been happy with his form, and I don't think he's been playing first-class rugby in the Premiership. I think because obviously Saracens went down to the next level, so yeah, it gets kind of difficult. And the reason why I like Ken Owens is because he's a get down in the gutter kind of player. He's the kind of scary kind of person you want in those dark places. But yeah, coming Moro Toje, yeah, I just think if he can just sort out the stuff off the ball, I think he's amazing. I just think I look at Moro Toje compared to Pieter-Steph du Toit, and because that's the kind of comparison I do, and I think Pieter-Steph du Toit's maybe got a little bit of an edge on him. That's just my personal thing. I just think Pieter-Steph du Toit may cause penalties and everything, but he's not niggly off the ball, and that for me is important. Courtney Laws back at 6. If you watch Squidge Rugby, you could see that the one try was literally from Courtney Laws not folding and just not. So yeah, he has to have a good game. If Courtney Laws doesn't have a good game, I think he's going to have a tough day at the office. The knee on the head and Delano was atrocious from Moro Toje. I absolutely agree. It was so blatant, and that's why that game was so frustrating. It was knee on the neck. It was pushing. It was the yellow card that should have been a red card. There was just so many things in that game that were just so niggly. Pieter-Steph du Toit, big loss. Is great, but he's not the same player as Pieter-Steph du Toit. Without Faf, Pieter-Steph du Toit going to be a really big ask. I agree. I really, really do agree. It's Pieter-Steph du Toit for me is a big loss, but Faf is a huge loss. But I'm going to come back to that to speak about the Springboks. So I think it's Tom Curry, Jack Conan. I like Tom Curry. I always have. Mostert, that's it. Eddie Price, good to see him back, because I don't think Conor Murray had a great game. So good to see Ali Price back. Dan Bigger, I don't think he had a great game either. It's strange. I would have thrown the if I was Warren Gatland, I would have thrown the dice and brought in Finn, but we just don't know what his fitness is like. He may be fit for the last 20-30 minutes, but maybe not for a whole game. But the guy's a special player. When he's on form, he's an absolute special. He creates things. A lot of players have been kind of average. Good to see Bandiaki. But is Bandiaki better than Damien Delenda? We'll see. Robbie Henshaw, it's a good choice. Josh Adams, Liam Williams, and Josh Adams, great. Liam Williams, I'm glad Liam Williams is in there. I've always liked Liam Williams. And then Duan van der Merwe, there must be a reason why he's there. There must be a reason. I don't know. I really don't know. Then the bench, Luke Cowan-Dickey, Makavinapola, Kyle Sincklair. It's a fairly good front row. Adam Beard, Sam Simmons, and then so it's a generally 5-3 split. But I think it's going to come. The big thing's going to be an Elliot Daly. Okay, we'll see about that. But I think the big thing is the Finn Russell. We'll see. Have to have bigs in there. Finn, he's meat and veg, does the basics, but Finn is like a shaking can of Coke. Just no idea what can sublime and once off. It's just, I just wonder, because there was a thing called the Quade Cooper conundrum, and the Quade Cooper conundrum is you never know what the kind of game he's going to have, and that's Finn Russell. So what you have to have with a player like that is you have to have a 9 and a 12 that are world class. Okay? So Conor Murray is world class. Let's be honest. He's really, really good. And Ali Price has had a great tour. So I think from a 9 point of view, I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty good. But then I start thinking, Finn Russell with Bandiaki next to him, the reason why you have a world-class 9 and a 12 around him is just in case your 10 has a shocker of a day, which Finn Russell can have, you've got them to balance it out. So, reiterated what I said, So, yeah, exactly, the Quade Cooper. It's the Quade Cooper. Somebody was talking about. Who was talking about it? The Quade Cooper phenomenon, because it's literally like Quade Cooper, and you just don't know what they're going to bring on the day. And when they bring it, they bring it, and when they're off, they're off. There's no in between. So yeah, it's. But yeah, guys, let's see what happens. I think, but. Mark, let's be honest, Mark's asked a question here about Murray's not being world-class. Who else is there? You know, I just think the drop-off is just, you need someone there that's a little bit able, and I think, I think when the Springboks are a little bit slower and they're a little bit more tired, maybe it's the right time to bring him on. But yeah, let's go look at the Springbok side. We go. So we look at the Springbok side. We've got the Stormers front row. Aki and the centre play together, but they both don't pass much. So I'm assuming Gatland's are going to try to play the kicking game plan again. Oh, yeah, there we go. Just like Games O'Connor, pure class on his day. Damn, the Aussies have some serious players and yet seem to mess so many of them up. Yeah, they do, Joe. They absolutely do. But in all fairness, there's just so many sporting codes in Australia that warrant the same kind of star player. So league, Australian rules, you know. So there's quite a few. There's quite a few that codes. So guys, I'm going over the 30 minutes. So I just want to quickly go through this team. So we've got Stephen Kitshoff, Bongi Nambi, Frans Malherbe. I think that's great. Eben Etzebeth, Lotte Jager, my favourite lock pairing for South Africa. Still world class though. Siya Kolisi, Franco Mostert playing blindside, open side here, and Jasper Wiese. Look, I remember Peter Steph du Toit's first game at 6. He had an absolute shocker of a game in England. So yeah, let's hope it's Franco Mostert doesn't do the same. But we need somebody with a big engine. Franco Mostert's that guy. But yeah, there's 3 line-out options we have, which is great. We have no line-out options really on the. We have nothing on the bench. Sherbet. Yeah, I'm going to come back to Mornay Steyn. Jasper Wiese, I liked his look. Besides that knock on when he was trying to catch, I don't think he had an absolutely terrible game. If only DDA played for a decent team. DDA. You might have to pull that out a little bit for me, Joe. Then the big one. Kobus Reinach at 9. Kobus Reinach and Faf play a completely different type of game. Faf is our roving defender, so he plays behind the line, and so he plugs in the holes. Damien, oh yes. If only DDA played for a decent team. I hope you're talking about Munster, Joe. So. I think Kobus Reinach plays a different kind of game. I don't know who's going to be the roving defender. It's going to be tough. I don't know who's going to fill that role because Kobus Reinach doesn't play that kind of. He doesn't play like that. So yeah, but I still think Kobus Reinach's a great player. So I'm hoping that they play to his strengths. Andre Pollard's an absolute given. Makazolo and Mpimpi, for me, one of the best finishers around, and he's slowly starting to get into his own at defending. Not sure about Reinach on defense, so that's my biggest problem with Reinach. Not 100% sure about his defense because Faf plays such an important role in defense. We don't mention that only team is Leinster. What do you mean, the Bulls? We're playing the same comp now. 12, Damon Delenda, 13, Laconia Arm. Great centre pairing. I think that's going to be a centre pairing for quite some time to come. Ches and Colby. Prediction. Ches and Colby score try. And a X-Factor try. Let's put it out there. Ches and Colby is going to do an X-Factor try. He's going to do the kind of try where we're going to forgive all the boring rugby for the last 2 games. And we're going to see one try from Ches and Colby and go, oh my good grief, the Springboks are amazing. Pollard has been class, but just goes to show how Johnny should have gone. But hey, God will be fit to tear the Boks apart in P16. Yeah, look. Yeah, I think they should have brought a Johnny. I think he would have really steered the ship. But there's also a lot of things that a player like Johnny brings off the field that even if he didn't play, he would have brought something that would have settled everyone. And that's what you need. And then Philly Leroux. So yeah, hasn't been given any space. When he gets the ball, he has 3 defenders in his face. They're shutting him down, but that should leave gaps elsewhere. Albie Safa, he is going to score. He's going to score. He's going to score an X-Factor try, beat 5 defenders, and score a try. It's going to happen. Mark my words. And then Willie Leroux at the back. Coming to the bench, a pretty good bench. Our front row had a great game last week. Malcolm Marks, Trevor Nyakani, Vincent Koch. I think it's a really good replacement front row. Marco van Staden and Kwagga Smith. Not the biggest players in the world, so I don't know. I don't know what kind of game we're going to be playing. And then for our backline, we've got Herschel Jantjies, Mornay Steyn, and Damien Willemse. It's so great to see Mornay Steyn playing international rugby. Let's be honest, guys. Who would have thought Mornay Steyn would have been playing for the Lions? So it's 12 years ago he was playing for the Lions, and now he's playing for the Lions again. So playing against the Lions again. So one of not the most exciting player in the world, but I just think the guy has game management and he has big match temperament. He's got BMT in spades. So he's seen it, done it. He's got the T-shirt. I don't think there's anything he hasn't achieved in. Did he win a World Cup? No, the World Cup, the last World Cup in 2007, that was Butch James, so it wasn't Morné Steyn. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the side. There's the two forced changes were a big one, and obviously Morné Steyn coming off the bench. Reinach was beaten up by Leinster's second team. I hope Reinach has a good game. I thought Yankees would have started though. Yeah. If I look at this team and I try to think about the World Cup, because obviously that's a couple of years from now. If we lose the breakdown with Marco van Staden and Marcus Smith at the field, I will throw my hats off. There's a few positions I'm looking at where I'm thinking, we need to start blooding some new players in, and I think we need to find a decent 9. I'm not saying that Kobus is not, and we need to find somebody who plays similar to Faf, that has that roving kind of role. I think at tight head, I think we're pretty okay. Loose head, we need to find Trevor Nyakani is a tight head, but he's playing loose head. And don't forget loose breakdown, Marco Stein. Yes, I agree with and Mbinambi at the breakdown. But yeah, guys, let's do predictions. I'll do the last couple of minutes and we'll do predictions. Who do I think is going to win? Sure, guys, I don't know. It's a head and heart kind of thing. It really is a head and heart kind of thing. It's just, the South Africans played with a lot of emotion this last week, and it's hard to play an emotional game 2 weeks in a row. So I think we're at a disadvantage there. Geez, 23-3, jeepers, guys. Boks winning by 5. I'm really worried about our bench. If we are behind when they come on, how are we going to chase the result down? And what if one of our rows get injured also? It smacks the first test. Yeah, look. Yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. Let me do my prediction. I predict teams kicking a lot. A lot of breakdown work, a lot of jumping. It might open up quite a bit near the end. Barring injury, I'd say the Boks to win. And that's I can't really pick it in my head, so I'm going to just pick it with my heart and just say the Boks to win. I just think with Joe, you're absolutely right. With the amount of niggle that's been happening, it could easily be a red card. I'm hoping we don't get to a red card. I really, really don't, and I hope the game's shorter than 2 hours. I hope it's a lot of things. I hope it lives up to what it should be. Yeah, look, I think it's going to be close. In all honesty, guys, I really don't mind. Really, at the moment, I want the Boks to win. I really don't mind who wins, but obviously I mind that the Boks win. But at least it's 1-1, so it has gone down to the wire. So yeah, Boks to win by a converted try, 7 points. So I'm gonna take that and say that's what I predict for this thing. But yeah, guys, I've taken an extra 13 minutes of your time. I'm terribly sorry about that. Thanks everyone for joining. I think we got up to 13 this week. 13 people watching at one time. I think that's amazing. Thanks for the regulars for actually tuning in. I really do enjoy it. It's actually very, very nice to actually have the same people coming in time after time. It really gets a nice conversation going. But yeah, guys, if you've got any questions during the week, just email me and we can try go through it, and I'll try bring it up, and I'll try bring it up in the next show. So yeah, let's see what happens. The next week, I think we'll start dissecting the lines a little bit. Oh, we actually forgot there's a Bledisloe game this weekend, which could be, let's be honest, two running sides. That could be, maybe that's the game to watch. Maybe watch the Bledisloe Cup for super entertaining rugby, and then watch the Lions versus the Springboks for on your seat, pressure, no one wants to lose kind of rugby. So yeah. But listen, guys, have an absolutely wonderful weekend and wonderful night, and I hope you really enjoy the game on the weekend. And so yeah, here's looking for the next 12 years after this game. But yeah, chat to you guys soon. Cheers.